In today's video, we'll go over an actual application for a daycare based in a home. So this application is for an in-home multi-age daycare, and there's different categories that you can apply for based on residential or commercial setups. But today we will just talk about in-home setups for a multi-age daycare. What you see right here is an application package from Fraser Health. So whatever health authority your home falls under, or if you're going commercial, that commercial location falls under, you need to get a package. That's step number one. You need to get a package from your local health authority for a daycare license. The package this is the package. It looks like this right here. And we will go over the contents of this package, and I'll try to help you understand what's the scope of preparing the application. And it's not very complex. They give you a checklist, as you can see, and we'll go over every single document page by page and fill that out as well for this client. I've already done most of the work for this client, and our role in this is advisory service. We are consultants, so we can give you guidance, but obviously we cannot control the outcome. There's so many different factors that go into an application for a daycare, and you'll see that. But we are here to help you, guide you through the process, show you the roadmap, and help you with the application process as well. Okay. So the number one thing, before you even start the application process, I'll read through the documents here and we'll go over it. Number one is to review the contents of the application, so you're prepared that these are the things that you need to collect in order to prepare the application package. Second, review Community Care and Assisted Living Act, and it comes with the package as well. There's a PDF available online for this everywhere. So obviously every location is unique to itself, so you will need to make those changes based on the location, but it gives you a general idea of what you should expect when you're filling out an application. Okay. So once that is done, you've completed all the forms, you've completed the checklist that comes with this application, then you are basically setting yourself up for an application review with the licensing officer. That's what the second step of this application package is. During this interview, it's more like a meeting, a formal, informal meeting with your licensing officer. They're the ones that are going to approve the application. What they're doing during this meeting, they're also assessing you and your suitability to be a daycare owner. And if you are somebody that has a ECE license, then you're in good standing already working in somebody else's daycare, then you should not have any challenges overcoming that interview with the licensing officer. They're going to just see your suitability and also go over the plan that you're proposing through the application. Okay, so what happens after the review? After the initial review, you get the stamped plans from your local health authority that they're satisfied with everything you've presented, and then basically you're in the wait list for inspections for home-based. There's a few more steps involved for commercial, but we'll do that in a different video altogether. I will record a session just like this when I'm filling out a commercial application for a client, and then that will give you some context about what to expect when you're doing commercial daycares. Okay, so after the review, the process takes anywhere from 3 to 4 months, could be long as well, could be less, based on your local health authorities, again, workload and the availability of licensing officers to go over these packages. Okay, so that's basically it, the starting steps. Now we'll go over the checklist of required application documents. So what we're doing over here is going over all the steps one by one. So application license form is the number one thing on the list. Then there's a site plan. Site plan is basically an overview of the property, where the play area goes, where the parking is, not the interior but the exterior. So, and then the third thing is the floor plans. These are basically the layouts that you're proposing for your classrooms for the daycare. Okay, and then outdoor play space, if there's an outdoor play space that is not designated to the property, then information about that. Sometimes commercial centers have that, where they're right next to schools or parks and they get permission to operate their daycares, play area. And then if you're providing transportation, you got to give them details about that. We don't do that personally for our daycares. It's mostly all parents pick up and drop off, but some daycares do provide that service, which you can charge extra for. So for those, you have to do the logistics and obviously have all that as a part of your application as well. The second last thing is proposed monthly operating budget. So this is your staffing, your payroll, the cost of meals or snacks, whatever it is that you're providing in your daycare's curriculum. Okay, so that's that. And then there's also a test for water, drinking water for any taps that are in the facility. They're testing for any anomalies that could be dangerous to kids' health. So that's that. The policies and procedures you need in place is behavioral guidance policy, and they give you the context of what they're expecting you to write down in the application. So all that is very straightforward. Nutrition policy, repayment agreement with parents, safe release of a child, active play, screen use policies, reporting incident procedure, emergency plan and procedure, fire safety plan, care and supervision policies, health, illness, medication policy, including, if there's somebody that has a flu or anything that's going around, like what are the steps that you're taking once you know that there is something going on in the daycare with one of the kids. So all that, bathroom supervision policy. So that's basically everything that you need to know or do as your checklist to be full for it to be sent out. And then there's also assessment of licensee or manager checklist as well. They have an assessment of suitability form, your resume, work history, 3 references, criminal record check, of course. And especially for a home-based daycare, you have to do a criminal record check for anybody above the age of 12 for all occupants. So if you have a basement suite that's rented out, you got to do a criminal record check for those. Whoever lives in the primary residence where you're operating the daycare, that criminal record check has to go in place for that. Okay. And then obviously your ECE certification, all the legal documents, first aid, and all that, statement of duties, the job description that you will be playing, immunization status. So all that has to be a part of the application. Now these are the forms that we're going over that are required to be submitted. So for this facility, all the facility information goes up there, physical address goes there, and then you gotta pick if you're doing this as a sole prop or a corporation. So all of that information goes right here in this document, which is the first page of the application. And then the proposed care program. So we are focusing on in-home multi-age childcare. So that's what you would check mark here with the proposed capacity. And some of the information over here you can't fill out, that's for the licensing officers. But obviously you can see that clearly in the application that it's stated. Then the licensee information and their previous experience, all that goes into play. Now the next part is designated director information. So you could be the director of the daycare and have somebody else as the manager if you're not the one operating it. But for home-based daycares, typically the manager is the director is the operator and the owner. So all that information goes right here. Once that is done, then they have a couple questions that they ask to the licensee. For example, the first one, licensee must be of the opinion that you have skills, training and experience and other qualifications to work with children. Describe how your skills, training and experience have prepared you to operate a childcare facility. So again, this is like the suitability assessment that the licensing officers need to do before they can give you any approval for your daycare operation and the license itself. Okay, so there's a bunch of other questions as well, 7 of them, very straightforward, simple to answer, and especially if you are somebody with experience, you'll have the answers to it as soon as you read the questions. So public health requirements, referral form, sewage disposal information if facility is connected to the city, or if there's an on-site private sewage disposal system, so they want all that information. And then that's that. This document goes over the list of additional criminal record checks. So basically anybody above the age of 12 has to go on this list, and then you do a criminal record check for them. Monthly budget worksheet, this is what we talked about roughly. What's the fees, what are the subsidies, what are the grants, and the expenses, salaries, benefits, janitorial services, rent, mortgage, taxes, heat, repair, maintenance, BC Hydro, all of that, field trips, snacks, all that goes in here. And then they basically want to see if it'll be a profitable business or not. It gives them an idea of what you're doing as a business owner. That's that. And everything else is just more noise, or you can say resources. You don't really have to go through each and every one of them, but you should if you're doing this for the first time ever, because it gives you a very good information, or it gives you context about exactly what you need to include. For example, your floor plans, how do you mark it, how do you label it, all that is provided in this information package here. And then how to label things off, that are of use to the kids, like bathrooms, bathroom number 1, play area, classroom, art area, or whatever the proposal is that you're making in the application. And then outdoor play area, they want to make sure that it's safe, it's fenced, and there's no hazards to kids. Their number 1 concern when they're doing these application reviews is always the safety of kids, and obviously the suitability of the one that's applying for the license as well. Now, a little bit technical part, some documents you have to provide if you're a corporation, is your notice of articles, all that basic stuff that you get when you register a company, so they want to see all that. Assessment of licensee, what they're seeing is resume, criminal record check, and assessment of suitability is basically, you telling them, answering those questions that we just went over, the 7 questions is what the assessment is. And the rest of the package just talks about criminal record check, the ways you can do it, policies, procedures. So they kind of tell you that, for example, in behavior guidance policy practices, the policy should include the following: practices for behavioral guidance, prevention, and intervention strategies that will be used to guide children's behavior. Any actions not permitted, like hitting, restraining, spanking, food, or throwing food at kids, or any of that stuff, right? So all of that goes into the behavior guidance policy. And then we will take a look at another one, like for example, safe release of children policy. Safe release, the policy should include the following: how to respond when a person who's authorized to pick up a child appears incapable of providing safe commute, right? So if they're drunk or impaired, like what do you do in that case? So all of that stuff. Now, for example, if you don't have a transportation agenda as a part of your application, you can just say it's not applicable. So you also have to, obviously every location is different, like I said, every facility is different. So every application package is a little bit different than the other one. Okay, all that depends on what's going into the package. Fire safety plans. So this is something really critical. Once the application is stamped, you have to go through 3 inspections. That's fire, electrical, and building. In the fire safety plans, what they want to see is that you have the right exits for fire, for safety. So all of these things are going to become a part of your application and also help you with the approval from the city, not the Fraser Health or local health authority. It is completely separate, but it is a part of the application. But the designated agencies that are supposed to give you approvals for this are the ones that come and inspect. Okay, so that is that. And you gotta have like an emergency kit, fire safety, hazard lights, things like that need to be in place. And then if you're providing food, you gotta go over the food safety plan, that you have the nutrition policies. Are you obviously providing meals? And if not, then what are the snacks? What is the menu? So all that has to go into play if you are going to be providing hot lunch and beverages during the daycare. And then the rest of the documents that you see here are not really for the application, but they are a part of the application. They're more along the lines like repayment agreements, active supervision, things like that. So technically speaking, this is basically the whole application process that you've seen right here. There's about a 40 to 50 checklist items that you have to go over and collect all this in due time before you file the application. But one thing to note here is that if you just buy this application package and go through it, you can technically do this all yourself. But if you're busy, if you're already working, you need to have somebody guide you through the way. You can get in touch with me and I can tell you how me and my team can assist you. But long story short, this is what I wanted to share with you guys today in this video training. Hopefully it helped. If you are someone that's really serious about pursuing this and it's a dream of yours to own your own daycare, it was a dream for us once as well, and now we do own residential and commercial centers. Did not come easy, and I had to learn all this myself by failing a few times, getting up and learning, oh, this is what we can do better next time. So if you want to avoid the headache and genuinely want to get this going for yourself, please get in touch. We can book a free call to go over the suitability of us first, if you're a good fit to work with each other, and then we can tell you how we can help you get this done for yourself as well. Timeline wise, for this teacher that I'm helping open a multi-age in-home daycare, it took us about 2 months to collect all the documents and everything, because obviously she's busy, she's already working full time, so these things can cause delays. But once I had everything, the application is basically prepared within 2 months timeline, but you can do it within a month as well if you're more efficient with the documents that you need and if everything is in place already. Sometimes the delays are caused by not having the perfect property. Now she's doing it in her home, so her home is zoned for daycares, multi-age. It's right across the school, so that definitely helps the case. So these kind of things go into play. But if you're somebody that needs to source the property first, rent or purchase, that's the first step that will take the longest amount of time. And I'm helping a few people right now buy homes where they can open in-home multi-age daycares. And for that to happen, we have to first sell their home, then buy a home, and then do a feasibility before they actually buy a home. And that's what's causing delays, but that's the way to do it properly. Thank you for watching. If you found any kind of value through this video, feel free to hit like, subscribe, share with somebody that could use this information. Now, I'll take off. This is the video for today.